All right, Anthony, you ready?
Hey, how are you, Brett?
Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome. I'm glad everybody's here. Good to see everybody. So excited to be here. Anthony, I can't see you. Oh, there we are. Okay. So today, first off, thanks for everybody coming. This is going to be a workshop specifically on Ascend. And Anthony's joining us. Most of you remember him from last time when we talked a little bit about the editor. So based on a lot of your feedback, we wrangled him again to talk about Ascend. So thanks for coming, Anthony. And today, what's kind of on the agenda? What are you planning on? What can we expect to learn from this workshop?
Yeah, so I definitely want to kind of talk a little bit about, using Ascend business tools inside and out. I think there's definitely a lot of ways to kind of learn how to use each of these tools individually for all of your clients, converting leads with chat and forms, driving traffic with all of the marketing tools in Wix, and then streamlining your clients' workflows with automations and triggers.
Okay, that's a lot, and there's a lot of different people with varying skill sets that are attending. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop them. We're watching the chat. So and Anthony, we'll try to have a Q&A at the end, but if it's relevant at that time, we may just jump in at that moment. So I'll let you take us away. So where do we start?
Right, so we're actually going to start, right in the editor, so once you kind of have your site built out, the next step is always making sure you add some entry points, so you can start to build that customer relationship. And there's two main ways that you do that. The first one's going to be with, of course, a chat, which I already have, added at the bottom here. But if you don't have it on your site, you can just actually go to add. From here, you can go over to contact and forms, and you can just drag in any Wix chat that you want, either the little chat bubble or the bar itself. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in the bubble. And as you can see, it'll pop up right in the bottom here. And I have my form already set up as well. So again, really cool thing that you can do with the form is that it's not just like collecting information. It's also that once you get that information inside, you can add automations with all types of really cool features. So if there's anything that you take away from adding a form to your site, it's going to be going into form settings and making sure you name the form. The labeling is probably the most important part, of adding a form to your site. And we're going to talk a little bit about why in a few minutes. So in this case, I'm going to take this form, and instead of it being contact, I'll just make it say, lead gen. All right, this way, as long as I know it's called lead gen, I can make sure that I'm making like email marketing campaigns later specific to people who filled out this form. So it's going to definitely come in handy. And just like that, we have the form set up, we have the chat set up. And also with the chat, I can also go in, and make sure that I have maybe like a lead gen form that pops up on the actual chat box. That really makes it easy for me to capture details of people who are interested in my service for myself or for my client. And as you can see here, we can also still customize the look and the feel of everything, just like any feature available on Wix.
Yeah, so Anthony, if you can speak up just a touch.
Okay.
Thanks.
Right, as you can see here, I have the Wix chat and the form set up perfectly. And I'm going to go ahead and just publish that. And then we'll take a look at how this is over on the live site. All right, you can see that we both have the form as well as the chat.
Yeah, and
right?
I see that chat moves and scrolls with the site too.
Exactly, extremely important. So as they're, and we'll go into later how as they're looking at a certain page, you'll be able to see as a site owner which page they're on, and then maybe even change up like what you tell them to make the experience more custom, for them as well. All right. So now we're going to just switch paths a little bit more. Now we're going to go now into the dashboard, where we're going to talk a little bit about each area of Ascend. So there's three main ones. There's the marketing and the SEO side. There's actual customer management, and there's the integrations that fall inside of marketing itself. So we're going to start out with customer management. And within here, there's two main paths. The first one's going to be to connect with the actual customer, right? And they can do that using either the chat or the form that we just installed. They can also, from that moment, like communicate with you, and then they'll pop up right here until this activity thread. So I'm going to kind of give you the perspective of both the site user and the site owner. So we're going to go to the live site here, and I'm just going to go over to my chat box, and I'm just going to pop in a message. And again, this is going to be me being, a site user. All right, I'll say, hey. All right, now what happens after this is now over on the dashboard, you can see here that I was previously someone who already had filled out, a form on the website. So in this case, I'm at this moment known as test@paidplans.com. Now, if I was a new user and I never came to this website before, I would just be like visitor number 1234. No one would know who I actually was. but they would see which page I was on. They would see how long I've been there, and they would see my location. And then from there, they can maybe even make, context off of whatever that information is. So if I'm selling, let's say, design services, I could ask people, how's the weather, in New York or California or wherever I'm located, to, again, make that experience a little bit more customized. And as you can see here, it even kind of gives you like a transcript of like everything that's happened from the moment that they've actually submitted that chat form there. So again, a really nice way to build like a customized experience here. And it's super easy to do it. Down below, some other things I can do here, also send over like some saved replies. I could also go down and request payment if I wanted to, using any one of these merchants, as well as going into even sending them over a link to purchase a product, which is also very helpful. So the cool thing is that not only is this just really nice to do and a nice addition, but also on the live site, like all of this is happening in super real time, and it's really nice, to kind of have that ability to just click on a product now, and now that person can actually buy it. And I could even do things a step further and maybe even say, okay, great, maybe I want to give a coupon out, but now they can actually get a coupon, so they're not just paying full price, and I can send them any one of the coupons that I have here or create a new one on the spot. So again, just all of these ways that you can really take the features inside of Wix, Ascend, and really just like supercharge your website and really add a lot of value to your client or yourself.
So in this, I've seen, so far we've added the chat widget, and we see how that's coming into the inbox in the back end, right? And we've talked a little bit about requesting money, a saved reply, sending a product, sending a coupon. Now, here's a question. Is this possible to do using the Wix app and being mobile?
Absolutely. Yep. So everything I'm showing you now, you have the same exact features on your actual mobile device. So I can do exact sharing, of all of the saved replies here. I can request money, also send the product all on my mobile phone as well.
So a lot of partners, I think, have clients that are very mobile or want to be mobile, and can do things on the fly. I think that's a really great selling point to show a client, by the way, this is how you manage it. But let me ask you another question. If I respond on the mobile to someone who's on my site, will it also, when I sit down at my computer, will those responses still be there?
Yep, everything's going to definitely sync right up. Yep.
I think that's a very crucial selling point right there.
Absolutely.
Could be.
I mean, a lot of times, again, if you are just a single-owned business, you are going to be on the go, sometimes at your desk. And I think Ascend is a great way to kind of just see it all come together, and you can use it no matter if you're, at your desk or on the go.
So when you respond to someone on your site, let's go back to show us your page, and I want to see what it looks like when you responded with that product. Is it from Anthony, or does it look like how does that work?
Yeah, so the respond to is going to be the information that you put in from your general business information section. So basically, right now we're communicating in chat. We're going back and forth. If that user were to leave the chat session, then they're going to get an email, right? And that's why it's very important to set up your email, in your Wix account, because if it's not going to be a live chat communication, because you can only communicate with a contact that has given you an email address. If that person was still like, let's say, visitor 1234, there's no way for me to communicate with that person after they leave. But since this person that we're talking about right now, which is this test individual that's placed here, I actually have their information. So even if they left the website and they left the session, they'll still be getting an email with the exact same information that I'm adding into the chat right now.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, I think. So, and Joshua, there are notification sounds. I heard it. Did I hear that right, Anthony? There are notification sounds when you chatted? Yeah, definitely. That's really cool.
And also one thing important is that the main differences here in the Connect tab here is that you have inbox and then you have contact list. But there's a difference between the two. So let's say, for example, inside of your inbox, you can have like 1,000 people that are in your inbox, right? Think of it more of like an activity thread, where people are like messaging me. Let's pretend I run an e-com store and I have like tons of different, people writing me inquiries. Every person's not going to be a customer, so I can have like, let's say, hundreds of people here in my conversations, but only the ones who have actually like submitted information to me, like their email, their name on either a form or a lead capture form inside of the chat on my website, will then be moved over to the contact tab. So those are the main differences. So you can have, again, way less contacts than you do people in your inbox. Think of inbox as like a way to kind of see the interest, And then only when they actually give information or submit some type of form to you, whether it be an email subscription opt-in, whether it be them buying a product or just submitting a contact form, will they then move into being an actual contact. And that's when we come into managing, our contacts that we have. And Wix has a lot of ways to manage things, based off the labels, based off of maybe something that you might want to import into Wix. So this is where we kind of dive now into the management of all of these contacts. All right. So now I'm going to kind of show you guys. So if you click on more actions, you'll see that there's ways to first import contacts in, meaning they do not need to be people who have only submitted things to the website. They can be your own contacts that you might have in Gmail. I can click on import, and just like that, I can choose if I want to, import from a CSV or from a Gmail account, as well as also exporting out. For whichever reason, you might want to also export your information outside.
Real quick. I know you're in a flow, and I don't. But before we jump out of that, there was one really good question about chat that Kristen asked, and I wanted to ask you this: when you message people in your contact list, does it go to their email, their cell phone, or does it go back to the website? Where does that message go if you direct message from your contact list?
From the contact list, at that point, it would be an email.
Okay, but if they're on your site and they're using chat, then your message goes back to chat.
Exactly. So both parties need to be in chat in order for it to be a chat. If they leave and they're no longer a person who's on the site, it's no longer a live session, and then that thread becomes now an email.
Ah, so it knows. That's cool.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks for the question, Christian, and thanks, Anthony.
You got it. All right. So as you can see here, like I can also manage like custom fields, right? So I can also add custom fields as well. So in this case, maybe the field type could be text, and I could put any type of field name and then customize it. The next thing I could also do is maybe manage my labels, which is why it's super, super important. Again, going back to how we set up, the site and the form, is making sure you name the form after the exact purpose. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm an insurance company and I do health insurance, I do auto insurance, I do home insurance. If I just have 3 contact forms that I just name like contact 1, 2, 3, like I'll probably get a little bit confused as to what form did what after a while. So that's why you name the form, and that produces these labels here. In this case, lead gen. So now I know that this form right now is lead gen, and that automatically created a label, and that label is worth way more than what you see right now. Like I can actually also go into like, let's say email marketing, and now just send out emails to people who've only filled out the lead gen form, which is why it's super important to make sure that you name every single form on your site. And we'll dive into that a little bit later. Then there's privacy and GDPR, which is also very useful. So this is great. If you have anyone who resides in or is a citizen of Europe, you can actually go right here and get a copy of their data or request that it be deleted permanently. And Wix makes it really easier at making that a possibility as well.
I'm glad you pointed that out. Now, we had a roundtable yesterday, and we talked about the new privacy center that Wix is working on, which is super exciting and really brings a lot of new robust features to GDPR and other requirements. So thanks for pointing that out. And if you could, not everybody has a great connection. So if you could try to be a little louder or a little slower. I think there's some buffering issues with Zoom.
Okay.
Thanks. We're doing good. Keep it going.
Perfect. Okay, so next we're going to move over into form submissions. So again, you'll notice how everything that I've done so far like kind of goes in sync. So right now, my lead gen form that I named my form after is actually now became a submissions table. You might not know like what the benefits are of having a submissions table. You might think, why do I even need a database if I already have a place where I can see the submissions? But there's a lot of benefit in this, specifically the fact that I could maybe even choose like which fields I want to be visible. Let's just imagine that you have a person who's working in, I don't know, inbound sales, and for some reason you want them to only see the first name and the phone number of all of these contacts. Well, I can do that, and then I could choose to then export it out so I can save and maybe not expose all of that sensitive data of my client. So there's a lot of ways that you can also do it. I've also used it in ways where I export this table and then I put it into like, let's say Google Sheets, where I can add like data validation, conditional formatting, things that I couldn't do right here. So it just adds a really good benefit of just things that you can do. You can also like merge this with something like, let's say, another software where you can kind of do really advanced things with spreadsheets, and from there kind of, make sure that it again becomes something more than just a basic spreadsheet. So again, things that Wix already does automatically for you, that you can of course see the, the value in taking it out and putting it into a different environment. Any questions so far, Brett? Everything's good over there?
No, it looks great. I think it's making sense.
Awesome. So now we kind of move into, so we just spoke about like connecting, right? Like the inbox, the contact list, the form submissions. Now we're going to move into managing it. Like what happens after a lead actually comes in, how do we work on getting that converted with some automations and triggers? I think, making sure everything is streamlined is very important. So before I dive into automations, I want to talk a little bit about the workflow. And how we can connect all of this and make it work. So the first step is first off having a workflow. But I want to talk about exactly what it is. So a workflow is just made of different steps. And on every one of these steps, there can be cards. And these cards are just context. And these cards can be manually added by just literally just finding and searching for contacts and then saying this person, let's say, needed a logo design. Or it could also be added automatically using an automation. So I don't have to use this format, by the way. I could also just click the little arrow here, create a new workflow, and I have like tons of templates to choose from.
I didn't even know that arrow was there. I use this all the time, and I didn't even know that arrow was there. Go back and do that again. I had no idea. Had no idea.
All right, so as you can see here, like again, and this is more than just what it could be used for you as an agency, this is also for your client. So if you have someone who is, a person who has an online store or is in IT or has business meetings, I mean, every business is gonna have a sales cycle and everyone is also gonna have some type of to-do list to keep track of, right? Which means that everybody is a candidate for using Ascend, even if it's more at the basic level or the more complex level. So what I'll start off by doing is we're gonna create a brand new one from scratch. And I wanted to show you how it's all set up. I'm going to use the sales leads one here because again, every business I feel can benefit from this. So the way this starts out is basically you can rename, any one of these steps. Again, your process might be different. Like for me, I don't really need to know if the person was contacted or not. I'm a closer, so I'm going to, of course, contact them. So in this case, I can just kind of like make sure that I'm knowing that they're created. From that point, I'll give them a price quote. Invoice will be sent automatically, and then it's paid and completed. Now I need to, of course, automate this because as you can see here, like if I had more than like a few, it kind of get a little bit time consuming to kind of move them from one to another. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go over into automations. Okay. And we're going to click new automation here. And what these are pretty much just like if statements, right? Like if this happens, then the next thing will follow. So in this case, all I'm going to say is that when I'm using Wix Forms app on my website and a visitor submits a form, but not just any form, it's going to be a specific one. In this case, we're going to use, let's say, one of our contact ones here. What happens next is now maybe something's going to move as a part of the workflow. So I can fully customize this or even create a task for myself or even add like a label to a contact or even connect to Zapier, right? So now what happens now is that once I kind of finish all of this, I can kind of go back and so I can say maybe this rule is going to apply for every single form type. And then from here, kind of customize everything here. So again, really easy process to just kind of go select what you want to happen and then kind of like customize things further. One of my favorite things to do is going to be editing the template for emailing, which is pretty useful here. So you just edit your contact details, you put who it's from, the reply to email, you save it, they email you up a code that you validate your email for your details. And then from there, you go back and you activate your automation. All right, so now when someone came, to my website and submitted a form, instead of it just kind of like being only in my contact list, but not in my workflow, it'll actually be in my workflow right here in this step. So in this case, to speed things up, I'm just gonna go ahead and manually add myself in. And I'll just say this person had an interest for a logo and I'll save it. All right, and now there's other tasks, there's other things that can kind of happen as these cards work. So let's say this person now is sent a price quote. I can make an automation that says whenever a price quote is sent, a person who was in lead created is now moving to the step of price quote sent. So as you can see here, it really creates a process for myself. Like I could remember using spreadsheets like, to the max and it just being very messy to manage. And this just makes it really smooth to kind of get everything organized. So I can just come to one place and kind of just see like a snapshot, of everything that's happening.
So there looks like there's a lot of automations that's definitely possible. And from personal experience, I've used this specifically on the partner community side. Anybody that signs up gets a welcome email the next day that I customize the email that says, welcome, here's some things you may want to know about. So I use that a lot and I really like it. So how would you, if you send a quote, how would you automate sending a quote to move? If you send a quote, how do you automate moving from lead to quote sent? How does that automated?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. So I can just go back into automations. Okay. And now I can just say new automation again. All right, and this time we're gonna make something happen. So literally everything starts off with the app that you're actually using, right? So in this case, if a price quote is sent, right? And now you can see we have sub options for that trigger. We'll say when the price quote is sent, then something is happening, right? And what could happen in this case is the card could actually move in the workflow to the step that we have created that's going to be called price quote sent. In my example here, I'm not actually seeing that tab, but it usually would appear, and you'll be able to at that point kind of move the card, over a step. And in your accounts, you'll definitely be able to see all of those features. But in this case, again, just price quote, and the price quote is sent. And from there, the next action would be moving a card from one step to the other. But as you can see here, that's not the only feature I have. I can also send an email to that person, get notified by email, or even create a task for myself. One thing that's very cool is also connecting to Zapier, where I could do advanced things like, for example, maybe connect to like third-party apps, and do even more advanced things. So if you're not used to using everything inside of Ascend, you can definitely kind of, again, just use that third-party integration to make things more advanced.
That's awesome. I've got lots of questions on this. There's several here. Let's see. There's a lot. I don't even know where to start. Here's a tough one. And Anthony, if you don't know this, we can divert to the team and I can try to get a back end answer. Okay. Is it possible to create an automated workflow if someone books an appointment or uses bookings? Does that integrate in a way here?
Yes, you can. So basically, when you go back into automations, which I'll do now, and you go into new automation, you might notice that bookings might not be one of the options. But if I didn't have stores on my website, I also wouldn't have seen that there was options to have automations with stores. So basically, the more verticals that you add to your website, the more options that you'll see for triggers to occur. So bookings is definitely one of them. If I added it right now on my site, I can actually come back and then see a tab that would say booking that would allow me to then send automations based off if a booking was confirmed or sent.
That answers a lot of questions. There was a lot of those. So I think that's great. Oh, that's awesome, Juliet. Juliet's talking about how she has bookings set up as an automation and quote to invoice when they accept the quote. So she's using a lot of these features. This is really awesome.
Definitely. And if you ever, again, don't see like one of the options for a trigger, try adding the app, to your site, refreshing both windows, and you'll definitely be able to see all of those options here.
Perfect. And okay, that makes sense.
Cool. All right, so now we can leave out of that. Any more questions on automations or workflows, Brett?
Yeah, there was one specifically about integrating QuickBooks to price quotes that Brandon asked, and I'm not sure if that's a third party that could be integrated or not, or if QuickBooks integrates with Zapier, maybe that's the flow. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a possibility to look into that. I've heard of some pretty cool ways that Zapier has been integrated with Ascend, so I wouldn't think it would be too far off. But again, something I would probably look into offline and maybe provide some direction there.
All right, Brandon, I'll circle back if you poke me. I'll circle back. Go ahead. Thanks, Anthony.
Awesome, cool. And as you can see down here, there's also a tab for task and reminders. So if I wanted to again see all of the tasks by myself or anyone who's a contributor within this site, I'll be able to kind of separate it here by assignee. One thing I didn't show you is that if you actually go back over into the workflow and you click on any one of those contact cards, then what you can see is like a series of different options as well. So I can just click on myself, for example, and then over here, you'll be able to kind of go into managing. And you also see like a little snapshot of the same exact thread that you'll see over in the inbox section, right here, but without having to leave this exact window, as well as going into manage to add task. And up here over to the left, you can also create invoices and create price quotes as well. And when those are created, they'll just move over in the cart based on your automation. So as you can see,
what if there's, Christy brings up a really good point here. What if you have a contact that's maybe in multiple buckets? Can you have the same contact to maybe more than one card?
You can't have the same contact to more than one card because a card is only one contact. However, you could have multiple workflows that the card is in. So maybe like this workflow is like my sales leads. That's my sales cycle, from open to close. And then closed, Maybe I have another workflow called project management, where I have like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of the projects, in which each of those phases link to a different person on my team and give them a task. You know, so that's ways that you can kind of also manage an entire workflow for project management as well, but you couldn't have more than one contact attached to the same card. A card is a contact.
Awesome. Great question. That was a good thinking there, Christine. Thanks for the answer, Anthony.
You got it. All right, and then again, down below is just a little bit of a more extended view of the same tasking reminders function that you would see in the manage section of each contact card that you have. All right, so now that you know a little bit about how to, again, connect and then manage the relationship with different people that come to your site, whether it be for yourself or for your client, now we're gonna move into the marketing side, which is my favorite side, because who doesn't love new business? So basically, we're going to start kind of down below. There are some SEO tools, but I mean, to dive into that will take a long time. I think we're going to have a different, amazing webinar on that. So today we're going to jump right into marketing. And we're going to first start off with the email marketing tool that we have here. All right, and this is really useful because now you're going to see how it becomes a benefit when you, again, name your forms correctly, because as you go through with the marketing side of things, it's extremely important to make sure everything is named the proper way, so you can, again, make targeted campaigns for yourself or for all of your clients. So let's go ahead and just create our first email campaign here. The first thing you'll see is a basic template that you can definitely customize. All of these can be changed to the theme. And what I really like about it is I can also, let's say, add additional columns. And as I add those columns, whether it be 1 or 2 columns, I can go back to theme and click on the different types, and it'll also kind of change the images inside of that as well, which you could also still customize to your own images or your client's images. All right, once you have all of that kind of worked out and it looks pretty good to you, you can move on to go through and actually make sure it's sent out. So in this case, you'll notice that I could also just type in recipients as well, or I can also go down below, choose my own labels. So in labels in Wix will be by default. You'll have all, you'll have members. The more verticals that you add, you'll also get additional labels as well. So if I had a store on my site with people who've actually purchased something, then I would have a customers label where I could target people who've only purchased something. So you can just see down below that, again, it's not just about the contacts that you've added, but also the way that Wix automatically groups them in to make it easier for yourself. I could also import my own contacts right from here. Again, that can come from Gmail or that can be a CSV. So we make it really easy for you to be able to, again, expand the reach of your audience. Right? And then last, you'll be able to publish it. And as long as you confirm those contact details, that campaign will go live. And once it's all done, you can come here where you'll see like a new little analytic window where you can kind of see like how many emails were sent, how many were open, did any bounce back. And then it's really good to just kind of measure, your marketing effectiveness. So that's one of my favorite things about using the email marketing tool.
We have a couple of design questions about the email marketing. I'm going to grab a couple real quick while we're here. Okay. Christy wants to know, is there a way to send an email without a header so she can make it a little more personal or casual?
Yeah, I mean, when she's speaking of headers, is she referring to this heading here, or is it more of when I go over to sending it out to a group of people?
I believe it's going to be the header in the design field.
Yeah, in the design field for sure. This could be 100% customized or removed. Speaking of though, keeping it like personalized, one thing I would recommend is like the use of dynamic values. So you can actually use, like a name of a person, like the contact first name, or even like fallback text. So if there is no name, you could just say hi instead, and then add it. And now every single time it comes in, it'll say, person's name or hi, we deliver to your door. So speaking of, again, making it more personalized, even if you didn't want a header, that's one of the ways that you can make it, extremely important, and again, more personalized.
Copy that. I'll grab another one here, sort of that's here. Is it possible to delete the title of the email? I don't think you can.
Not at all.
Yeah, Amanda, I don't think that's possible. So, yeah, and by the way, everybody likes that dynamic value. I didn't know that either. Show us where the dynamic value was one more time, because I think that's a hidden gem here.
Yeah, so you won't see it in add elements. You'd only see it if you click on the actual text box. And then from here at the very bottom, I'll just do it from scratch again. From here, you can kind of just click on add dynamic value and then which value.
Nice.
And you'll notice how these are only the most primary ones, like your name, things that can actually be unique. Like if I was maybe showing somebody a drop down of options, that wouldn't be a variable that would be unique enough to be dynamic. So it needs to be like something that's going to be different most of the time. And that's going to be like a first name, a last name, contact email. If I'm speaking to a sports team who's signing up, I'm going to probably use their last name. If I'm speaking to a sales prospect, I'm probably going to use their first name. So just think of it, in terms of that, and here you have it. And this is not the only place that you can customize the dynamic value. You can also do it in the actual subject of the emails as well, right before you're publishing it. It's a step prior to this one. Let me see if I can relocate it. And the same subject where you kind of write what the email is going to say in the subject, you can also kind of change up that dynamic value as well. So
that's cool.
As well. So you can really customize it. Like those are the emails that probably get the best opening rate, is again, things that will probably say hi Brett or hi Anthony versus, we deliver to your door. It's not as personalized, So when you think about ways to, again, just convert those leads, email marketing does just that if you use these features correctly.
So okay, two questions. One, will you walk us through adding it to the subject? Can you show us how to do that? And while you do that, can you tell us, is it possible to send a plain text email with no HTML whatsoever?
So you just want to send a plain text email. You could do it using automations without the need of actually using like any type of like rich text fields. However, if you're using this feature, then you're probably going to want to, again, take advantage of, using all of the features here. And as far as customizing the subject line, I'm just trying to see where that is located. Give me 1 second.
I'm putting you on the spot.
You are. There we go. I found it though. You can't trick me.
This workshop's turning vulgar, and the answer is no so far. Right, show us again. There it is. Add dynamic value. There it is. Perfect. Vinesh so again, wanted to see that.
That right there just equals a lot more conversion. So again, when it comes to offering this, to clients, I mean, there's ways of offering things that make people think that it's a good idea or a bad idea. I think if you say, hey, I'll do an email for you, and for X amount of money, versus saying, hey, I'll produce an email campaign that features dynamic values that increases your opening conversion rates. I mean, that's a different conversation that makes them now excited to do it, because now they think ROI, right? So I think that's definitely a cool thing to bring up, to increase sales. Think of it like this: if you want to increase your sales, like you need to increase the sales of the people that you work for, exactly. And one of the ways to do it.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll just to recap, we sort of talked about email marketing here, how to make an email via the email marketing system, how to make dynamic fields so it's more personal. And you taught us that actually, if you wanted to, you can use automations to send an email, and that email is plain text, not HTML, because we got a follow-up question for that again. So that's how Anthony taught us to do that. I'll take one more question real quick, and then we can move on. Anthony, is it for different campaigns, is it possible to have that email coming from a different email address, or is it all site-based?
It's all account-based more so. So basically, and when I say account, I'm talking about the email client itself. So you're not going to, of course, have like multiple domains coming. That actually goes into a different topic, which is like validation of the email. A lot of times you're required to clean your email list before you're sending them out in bulk. And again, having different domains will require different verifications for each of them, on top of having to validate the actual URL for contact detail purposes. Because spam is a big deal. So you don't want to kind of like just spam 1,000 people who don't really want the email. So that kind of plays back into like security and also a little bit of privacy as well.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome questions, man. The partners have a lot of great questions, Anthony. Thanks for answering this. Okay. Let's take us away. Where we're going next? We're
going to go a little bit beyond Facebook ads, although it doesn't exist. I think it's a great thing to know about. Like you could come here and definitely, manage some Facebook ads and Instagram ads for your clients as well. So that's something that you can dive into. Google My Business, the integration is very nice. This kind of dives a little bit now into like SEO, but I think, it does speak a little bit about like brand reputation. So just being able to have someone's business posted on Google My Business, on search and maps, really just helps give potential customers like an info at the things to see. But for now, we're going to dive into, some social posting. This is by far like one of my favorite tools here. And the reason why is because I think that there's a lot of tools that we can probably compare this to in the world of social media marketing that would easily cost more than the basic plan of ascent that I'm currently using right now. So I can actually go here and pick any one of these templates, as well as create my own and then customize all of this up pretty easily. There's going to be, of course, some inspirations that'll pop up. I can click on one, change things up, click on next, and from there, I'll be able to kind of decide where I want this post to go. Right now, we have two different avenues. The first one's going to be Facebook, and the second one's going to be Instagram. For Facebook, you can instantly connect your Facebook account, add a caption, and connect and post. That happens automatically. There is an option in some accounts today, I believe, to do scheduling as well. On a certain day at a certain time. You can also go into Instagram, and for a lot of API reasons, it's still a requirement across multiple platforms to first either approve the app or to get it sent to yourself and then post it to your mobile. The best way to position this to a client is not to say that, hey, I can text it to myself and then send it to you. The better way is to actually say, I can text you a new post for your Instagram channel 3 times a week. I think that's a better way to deliver this. So again, that's actually making a convenience out of a limitation in a sense. And that limitation is not a Wix limitation. That's just the general world of Instagram that has decided not to make it easy for other platforms to kind of, again, disperse posts into their platform. So that's the way that I would kind of use that to, again, make it as a convenience and not a limitation. Also, you can also download these posts as well, where you can, of course, choose to use them wherever you need to. And again, it's really simple to kind of, go in and create those posts. And from that moment, you'll have like a huge library of posts that you can always go into and manage and duplicate for your client to use over and over again. So that's really good for like any type of like recurring revenue structure that you want to build with them, whether it be that you're doing like 5 posts a week or 10 posts a month. They all need to kind of go in line with what your offering is in your current Ascend plan. So just also be aware of, the cost for plans and what they include in each different tier. All right.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, and that's pretty easy, right? I mean, but how would I, as a partner, how would I pitch that to a client? I mean, is this a service I would add on, saying, or do you have social? I'll add it and show you how to use it for X. How would you pitch that? How do you rate? How do you bring that value to your clients? That obviously, and how do you position it to where they want to pay you for doing this? Right?
Right.
Do you include that? Is it a bullet list?
Yeah, I think that's a question. I think that most times clients will tell you like what you can offer them, just by listening in their first conversations, just by saying something like, hey, tell me about what you're doing on social media. If their response is, I'm not doing much, then they just told you that they wanted some type of social media marketing, But I'm building a list, right? So as I build the website, a lot of times you need to kind of look at the opportunity like, okay, when this is done, I'm going to set this up in a way where they're going to feel like they're missing something if they don't have a Ascend, so maybe I'll offer 3 social posts a week. I'll do a video for them. And if you don't know how to do videos, you're going to find out in about a few minutes. All these things that we can put together and bundle together in addition to a maintenance plan. It's easier to sell to people that we've already sold to. So they trust you already. So why not take advantage of that? Even if you converted, let's say 10% of your existing book of business into some type of maintenance plan, like you'll make a decent amount of money off of that. So we're going to talk about ways to bundle it, but yeah, like you can definitely take all the things that I'm going over now, put them into a list with different tiered offerings and like a 3-tier system and offer that, to every single client. I think one of the things is that a lot of times we get so busy that we don't remember to just work with the people and nurture the ones that we already have in our book of business.
That's a great answer. That's great advice. When we were talking about those social posts, I have a quick question. Well, I don't have a question. Jane had a question. Are there templates sized specifically for Instagram stories, or would you need to be the one that sort of sizes it correctly?
You wouldn't really need to size them correctly. Like they're usually going to fit Instagram.
There it is. Yeah.
There's never been a time that I've posted one that didn't look right. They always tend to look pretty good on social media. And we're going to dive a little bit into, Wix and how they help us actually do the same for videos as well as we move on.
Perfect. By the way, Serena, Christy, and Sarah are loving this information. They're eating it up, and I'm glad. I hope everybody's enjoying this and getting some good information. So we talked a little about social posts. Back to you, Anthony. Where are you taking us? I derailed us with questions. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so I'm going to take you now to the world of video making. I think that it's important to really be able to offer videos. I mean, this is by far probably the most engaging thing now on social media, even more than just an image or a post. But when it comes to just getting information and getting it quick, usually in a few seconds, I think videos do a good job at it. So the first thing I'll tackle is one of the last questions that we have from the social post side is, how does Wix know the sizing? And luckily, you can kind of see here that it's telling us now like which platforms the video making size is best for. So for a video story, these are the platforms. For creating a landscape video, these are the platforms. So as long as you kind of follow, that kind of that structure, you should be fine with all the dimensions and so forth. So I guess the best way to really talk about the video is to show you. You got to be visual. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on get started here.
And so for those of us who are just joining, we are inside our dashboard and we are making a video maker or making a video through the video maker, right?
Yep. And the first step is going to be adding our content. So these can be photos or videos or a combination of both. You can notice how I can just click add just like anywhere else in Wix and add my own information here. So if I wanted to make a cool glamping video, for my glamping website that I built, I can do that pretty easily. But as you can see, I can also decide to add and reorder the elements here as well. So I can also change my opening text. What my secondary text would be third text, and then my last set of text. I'll click on next. And now we can also choose a video style. So if you kind of hover over it, you can just see what these styles would look like quickly before the customization of both the fonts and the colors. I'll go with like more of like a sale type of style. If I have a store, then I'll choose my fonts. And as you can see, this list has become a little bit more extensive than it once was. I'll click on next. And now I can choose some music if I want, or I can just choose to keep it quiet if I don't want to get too disruptive. I'll click on next, and last will be a place where I can add in my business logo, the business name, and so forth. Apply and preview, and in about 60 seconds, we'll have a video that's going to be around like 20-30 seconds long, and immediately could be shared across all of the different social media channels that we discussed previously, but this time with an actual video. So I think that is a big deal.
We've seen this, and I remember when we debuted this to the partners, and they loved it. It's really great. And by the way, Jane says she uses this, and her clients absolutely love this. So she's doing some of this and using some of these features as well. So I think it's really great. So you can just go through your site, find some images, and then there's your video right there.
Yep. I mean, it took us no time at all. I remember, running an agency, and a lot of times always trying to figure out who or what could do a video. And the fact that it's kind of already built in at my fingertips now, I think would have probably changed, the output of what I was offering to clients. So I think this is a definite, no-brainer when it comes to offerings. There's no reason why you shouldn't offer this, to every client that you have.
So is there, so question on this, editing question. I know you can upload your fonts to your site. Is it possible to upload your custom fonts to this editor, not the editor, to the video maker?
Yeah, although at this moment that is a genuine limitation, I believe it's something that's being worked on. But what I could suggest is that you can also take advantage of the fact that you can upload any type of asset here. Like it doesn't need to be just an image or just a video with no text. You could, use another software to produce, different media or images that you can import inside that could feature a text overlay.
So you could basically make the image you want with the text font you want, and then put that in as I gotcha. That's a great workaround right now.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, if that's really what you're trying to produce, then you're probably better off using more of a custom tool to kind of produce the visual of it, just because you'll have more control over it versus doing it in this environment. This environment is probably not as customizable as the editor yet. So that's one of the recommendations I would make. Yeah.
Copy that. Makes good sense. By the way, the partners are asking for you to host more workshops. But by the way, we do have, for those of you who are asking specifically for Editor X, we do have one planned Wednesday, and there's going to be an invitation sent out. Thanks, Aviva, for bringing that up. Sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
You got it. All right, so we kind of went through that, and I also want to make sure you know that the video that I've showed is basically just a sample. So this is not, HD at all. Once you click on save and share, you'll get a high definition version saved directly into your media manager, where you can incorporate the videos not only to social media, but also to your website, using things like the Wix video app as well.
Perfect.
Yep. And that takes care of the videos. And by far, again, this is like probably one of the easiest tools to monetize. People have most of the time images of some kind and a vision of some kind. And I think with the two, you being an expert in their vision, you should be able to create something pretty nice like this, pretty quickly. And again, you've seen how quick it was and what the results were. And I can also go into my videos and also see what I've done or create additional ones as well. So it's pretty nice.
It's great. It's great.
Right. One of the next things I'll dive a little bit more into is going to be the marketing integration side. So again, some people need to have more than what I've shown you. So we do have the ability to first off connect your analytics, your Facebook pixel, tag manager, and more integrations to come as well. But I think going in here and familiarizing yourself with all the different, integrations that we have is a really good next step into being able to, again, just take the power of the site to the next level and to make it more. One huge opportunity is the ability to generate logos in Wix. I know this is something that everybody might not be doing today, but I think there's a lot of benefit in doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of show you guys how it works. I'm going to go ahead and see what they'll produce for me for the name Walker, and the logo will just be for design portfolio. And I'm going to try to get something that's more dynamic, creative, and modern. Okay. And now we're just selecting the different types of logos that we think we like. So I'll go with that one. I'll go with this one, that one, and this one. All right, and I'll use the logo on my website, whichever one that becomes. And now,
can you pick multiple right there, or is there just one that you can pick?
Yeah, I could have picked also multiple, but in this case, I just wanted a website logo pushed out. And as you can see here, I mean, it came up with some pretty unique styles, and you're not limited to the result that you're getting right here. And despite where I said I wanted to use the logo, I'm going to show you something cool in a couple seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one, just because I see some potential here. So I'm going to click on Black Pearl, and now not only does it show me what it looks like, I can also customize this and move it around. So I don't think it just kind of spits out something that I have to kind of go with. I can choose to remove anything and add a different element or an icon or a shape. Okay. So I think it's really important to know that. And when I'm done, I can, after that, kind of move across and just see what this would look like on a website, what this would look like on Instagram, what this would look like on a business card or a t-shirt. So it really helps the client just visualize everything. If there's one thing that I've learned about small businesses is that when you show them their logo on different things, they usually want everything that the logo is displayed on, because it gets them really excited. So I think this does a really good job at, again, quickly showing them, what this vision could look like before much customization. And if you get them sold at the point, you'll definitely get them sold at the point after you customize things.
Now that's I mean, so in the marketplace, there are a lot of leads that come in for logo design, and from an agency freelancer point of view, that's a really interesting place in the funnel. It's someone who's interested in a logo, and there's a lot of opportunity there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think in the marketplace, for sure, you're going to get a lot of people who are just starting out, who need redesigns, who have started to build their own websites, who don't even really know sometimes what a logo is, that they don't know it's something that's custom to identity. So a lot of times they might not even really know where to go. So being able to kind of produce something with multiple styles and go over and show them like what it could look like immediately allows them to feel like their brand is becoming alive. And you can mark that up, much more than what it's priced at currently to you as an agency. And I think that's an amazing, value add, is to be able to, again, have an expert walking you through the processes, seeing dozens of styles in seconds, and then still customizing it further, to match the needs of the client a little bit closer. So I think without a doubt, your specialty is not building logos. You just became one. You have this tool at your fingertips now. I think being an expert is solely about the tools that you have use of and the knowledge of how to use them. And once you know that, I mean, you can pretty much become that person who produces anything.
Yeah. So me, who has zero design skill, I would use this logo maker, and the first thing it pumped out, I'd probably think was probably pretty grand, right? But to have someone that would see something and say, well, actually, let's just move this, just like you just did. Let's move this over here and make this color change. That right there is what I would want from a designer, because I don't have that. And that's exactly what partners, that's what they facilitate to their clients, right? Here's a couple questions though. Celine asked a great question. Are the fonts and the logos licensed to use for design brands and businesses?
Yeah, so you do have commercial rights to all the logos that are being designed. If you're using it basically with the free version, then there are limitations to use it on email marketing campaigns and also on the actual site itself. But when you have the purchase version of it, which is the non-free version, your commercial rights are just as if you would have built it yourself in a custom environment.
Well, I think that answers Nathan's question. Nathan asks, can he show all of those to customers? Like, can he do some mock-ups and show them And the answer is yes. Then of course the other back end answer that Celine was asking about was are they safe? But your answer is you need to pay for it, and then it's 100% yours.
Absolutely. And if you're worried about, again, the same shapes being used, you've seen me take elements and customize it. So although you might see what you like when they're just initially kind of given to you, I recommend still kind of just adding a little bit of customization. If you're just doing like just 10% of the customization, don't forget that the process just took us, 60 seconds, so to spend another 5 minutes customizing a little bit more is not going to kill us, so just think about that as well whenever you're, displaying those logos to a client.
Another one, again, this is a Stump Walker workshop here. Allison wants to know, and again, with custom fonts, can you add custom fonts to this logo, or is that still in the pipeline?
Yeah, that is still currently in the pipeline as well.
Okay.
I mean, but as you can see, we have like a lot of cool styles that we pushed out, extremely easy to use. And even beyond just a logo, you can also see here the ability to also, start to offer, printed products, which is now the next level of the things that you could offer a potential client.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, and I agree with Lamonte here. The professional really makes it work, makes the logo work. Anybody can put colors and designs together, but the professional makes it work. And I think that's a great point because, again, I'm not a designer. I see so much value in that because it's not my skill set. And I know everybody that comes to a partner needs that professional eye. I know I do. Okay, sorry, Anthony, keep going. This is great.
Yes, as you can see, I mean, there's tons of features that you can kind of add and get started up with. Again, sales channel wise, like there are some opportunities to also kind of do ads and keep promoting even beyond just getting your site set up. But I think we kind of went through a lot today, specifically around customer management and how to also connect with users and then manage that relationship. And then going now into marketing, where we learned a little bit about how to just automate things and workflows and also promote. So kind of, I'm going to leave it open now for questions, but that's kind of like the basis of Ascend. And I hope that, everybody now is more, prepared and inspired to kind of, start offering that solution.
Well, I use it on with the partner community side. I use it religiously, and so does the team. So I've fortunately enough to know most of these features. There's a few things that you pointed out that I did not know how to do that I'm really glad you did. And actually there's a side conversation happening with the team like, oh, we got to go change this. We want to go, implement these things. Right. So I think it's great. Here's a couple questions I'm going to try to grab and we'll go. Sharon actually prints in-house. If she creates one of these logos, can she use that for things she prints?
Absolutely, yeah. So you'll get all the file formats like the PNG, the source files, the regular files that you would have in all the formats that allow you to print them out, properly. Yeah. So you're not sacrificing anything by using the logo maker in Wix. You're getting the same exact output, even if you were to use like a professional software. So you have that ability. You're not losing anything. You're just getting a ton of time back. That's all.
I've got a tough one. And this may be the one to stump Walker. Neil asks, is there a way to check if that logo, if there's a logo that's been used somewhere else? Is there any chance of a duplicate if they use the logo maker?
So there is a Google API that does take an image and search it. And if it does find like an identical match, which I think is his concern, then it'll show you. That's one thing that you can do as a precaution to see if it's not used on the general web. But as far as like, again, this is almost the same output of like if you were to use the ADI, it's probably not going to be two websites that will look the same, right?
Right.
Same thing with the logo maker. That should not be the concern because again, you have the opportunity to change the color, the style. And then speaking generally now, like in terms of design can't be copywritten. Only brand names could be and certain identities can be. So that's not really like a huge thing if you're thinking about it from like a more legal aspect, but from like just like identity standpoint, like you should be fine, again, using any of the outputs, even as they are without worrying about any type of infringement or duplicate styles.
So Vinesh asks a good question. Do we have an agency plan for Ascend? And do you want to answer that one, Anthony?
As far as Ascend, like an Ascend license for a partner?
Right. So I don't know if you know this, Vinesh, but You may have to, you caught me on the spot there, Aviva. I'm not sure, but I think, I'm not sure of which rank, but and I think actually it's Pioneer, isn't it? You get access to Ascend built into your dashboard. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I'm asking the team to tell me at what level you get that, but we do have some features of Ascend baked into the product dashboard right there. So when we talked about automations, a lot of those things are built in.
There's
right
also
there.
newer e-com plans as well that also feature built-in Ascend features that would definitely be beneficial for the person coming out for sure.
But for as far as your clients connecting them with Ascend, yes, their sites would need an Ascend plan, for sure.
And then one thing that I would also want to really mention really quickly is also, I know we got a lot of questions around how do you offer this to a client. Like one thing I would recommend is just looking at one of the offering pages here for Ascend. So if you kind of go and you just see all the offerings that come into each one of these plans, I recommend just taking all of the offerings from Wix and kind of flipping those into like deliverables, you know, for your client. So if I wanted to right now monetize off of this, think about it. Like a tool is only as good as a person knows how to use it, right? Because I could be a person who's more of an expert, use something basic, and then produce a professional result. Somebody who's not, despite what access they might have to a tool, if you take somebody who doesn't know, like let's say Illustrator, they'll not know how to produce a logo, right? So what you can do here is just kind of take all of these offerings and just kind of flip them and say, okay, now for my customers, what could I do? Well, I could do 5 email campaigns a month, as long as I have this plan. Even if they had no Ascend plan, I could also go here and I could take these, you know, offerings and flip those into things that I could actually, you know, put into my deliverables, and then come up with like a way to structure them, like probably make it more quantitative than it is qualitative, if it's the basic one, and then from there just kind of add offerings out. You'll be surprised at how many people, when they see it laid out in a nice proposal, will just say, you know what, I'll sign up for it, even if it is a couple months, you know, or 3 months. Most people will try it out for at least a few months before they even think of canceling it anyway, you know. But if the value is genuinely there, like it is in Ascend, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be extremely valuable for a client.
Great. That right there was really amazing information. I hope everybody heard that. Nathan asks, I'm going to come back to you, Nathan, because I want to clarify. He didn't understand what I said. Do the clients need Ascend for us to offer all of this? For example, the logo. The logo is not related to Ascend. It was something that Anthony sort of went over, just to clarify. Ascend were the features that actually pull up that price list and let's see what is included in Ascend one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So, and what Anthony just actually recommended to y'all is when you're quoting out services for your clients, to actually include what is in the free version of Ascend. For example, a chat box with Ascend branding, 2 automations, right? That comes with it, but to upgrade it's X, right? Anthony, that's a very good way to package that, I think.
Yeah. Like I think Wix has really done all the work when it comes to what should I offer. Like anything in Wix can be offered. It's just how you offer it, you know, and then what the actual result ends up looking like. But you can take all of this, and they made it really easy. Wix has made it really easy for it to be something that you can definitely make a lot of money off of. And to be honest, I did it before there were any type of plans like this. You know, I would just kind of go in and say, okay, what can I take here? What can I take from there? And now it's probably the most easiest to market because it's already done for you, you know. If they wanted to demo, you can literally walk them through what I just showed you and show them what the video quality would look like, what a logo might look like. And the reason why I actually mentioned the logo is because you might have noticed that when I went through like the social posting, when I went through the video maker, there were spots to put in a logo. So if you deal with a client who doesn't have a logo, you know, again, you might not want to have that objection. So having it right there where you can just kind of build it in a couple of seconds is really important. The number one reason why sometimes projects aren't started is because of contents. So I just showed you all the actual options, and also a place to get all the contents from as well, to merge the two. Because again, you need some type of identity before you can actually have a marketing campaign. So that's why the two kind of tie in together. But yes, a logo is 100% separate from the offering inside of Ascend.
That makes a lot of sense. And you answered a lot of questions just by having this page up. So I want to thank that. So thank you for that. Lots and lots of questions. We answered a lot of questions. Again, this has been really great. I want to thank all the partners for being here. And I want to thank you, Anthony, for taking the time to kind of deep dive into some of these features and sort of talk about how we can pitch that towards our clients. and use the things that Wix is offering to actually extend our offerings to people or our clients. That's really great. I want to say thanks to everybody. This was recorded, and we will send a copy to everybody who RSVP'd. So thanks again. And Anthony, thanks for your time, and thanks for coming, partners. And we'll do another workshop soon. So thanks, everybody.